Good evening, everyone out there in YouTube land, and welcome once again to another episode of Lancing with Myself, where I, Steve D from Tin Star Games, try to give you, in 5 minutes, a little bit of the 20 years of things I've learnt in game design, especially when you're low on spoons and low on money, which God knows I am almost all the time. Hooray! Today I want to talk about finding the essential. That was a quote that I got from Hal Hartley, the film director, when he was trying to describe what his goal was as a film director. And what does it mean? It means just trying to really drill down into what is exactly the essential message that you're trying to get, and what is the essential pieces of getting that message across. Hal Hartley's films are extremely precisely scripted and shot to give the most amount of meaning to the minimum amount of shots and scenes and lines. And I also believe this is also the case with Empire Strikes Back, which was rehearsed over and over again, and blocked and plotted and shot by the cameraman over and over again, and working with the directors and the actors so that they could get across as much meaning as possible with the minimum amount of dialogue. And that's why we've got some of the most amazing scenes in Empire. It's such a very effective, moody film because so much is done with so little. What does all this have to do with game design? Well, the other day I asked someone who was asking for advice on his game. I said, how would you explain your game to someone who'd never played a game before, or never played a game beyond, Trivial Pursuit or Scrabble? And he couldn't give me an answer, not straight away. It was a very difficult question for him. And obviously that ties into the fact that your market isn't gamers, which is something I'm always going on about. Your market is everyone, and you should always be looking for everyone to play your games. But the exercise is more than just that. It's not just figuring out how other people can see it and how to make it clear. You need to be able to summarize your game, and thinking about it in terms of what is the simplest way we can convey this information is important. How much information do people need to have to get your game? If it's a huge amount, you have to think about what is the cost of that. If I have to have a huge amount of experience in board games, that's very hard for you to pitch to the average person walking by. It also makes it hard for your game to be seen as its core components. You should be able to, no matter how complex or how developed your game is, you should be able to pull out the key elements. Even if you're riffing off hundreds of years of game development to find a new concept, every game still has a core concept to it that should not be that complicated. Even the most complex games come down to simple actions. And it's really important to understand that because that's the core of your play. Every game really comes down to core experiences that are being repeated. And you need to understand those essential, intimate moments that are part of the core part of the game. Is it choosing a card from your hand and playing it? That, is an essential mechanic, and that's the essential experience. Is it putting people on a map and trying to get the most people on an area than other people and winning a fight? Is it predicting other people's moves? Is it trying to guess if someone is lying or not? Start with those fundamentals, those essential parts of your game, and try to express it as simply as possible. If you can't sum up your game in like 20 words, it's probably too complicated. And this is a test for how complicated your game is. If you can't sum it up, it's not just that you need to practice summing it up. You might need to simplify your game down. And this is true no matter what kind of genre your game you're working in. You need to be able to sum it up because that means your game has a tight, clear focus. The way that I got relics better and better over time was primarily by summarizing it. Because every time I demoed it, every time I promoted it, every time I talked about it on radio or in interviews, every time I ran it, I had to pitch the setting over and over again. And I had to do it in about 5 sentences and in about a minute. And I got better and better at shaping that summary, which was a skill, but I also got better at keying into the important key parts of the setting and then being able to represent those things in the text. So these are the highlights of the setting. These are the important things. These are things you need to know. And the game is now about those things. In the early drafts, the game was sort of just kind of a few ideas about angels, but now it's very punchy. It's got a theme. It's got a real flow and center to it where you know who you are and you know the kind of things you're doing always. You know who you are and the kind of things you're doing all the time. And I got there by summarizing. So you need to figure out what the essential experience is in your game. If you're confused about that, put some notes in the comments. We'll figure it out. Say some complex games. We'll break them down into their little pieces. It's a good way to do to other games as well, not just your own. Take a game, figure out how you would summarize it. 10 words, 20 words, 50 words, 30 seconds. Figure out what its component pieces are. Figure out what the essential experience is and how you would explain that to other people. Find the essential and you'll find the heart of the game. That's all from me. We'll see you next time. This has been Lancing with myself. Till next time, play games, have fun, pat dogs, be good.